Imagine the thrill, stalking the animal, tracking them, working the wind, and suddenly you're 80 yards away with a bull right under your nose. Isn't that the best part? Idaho big game animals have experienced an increase in pressure with the use of advanced equipment that we have nowadays. Long-range scopes allow for a more accurate shot from a further distance away. Lasers have also been used to create better accuracy when hunting. It is time that we consider a new approach for wildlife management and conservation. It is important that we choose a policy that does include a fair chase, but also maintains harvest rates. I have been a resident of Idaho and also a non-resident, and I have seen firsthand the decline in our animal population over the past few years. I have also pulled resources from Idaho Fish and Game and Utah Fish and Game and Wildlife Management. Today, I want to convince Idaho Fish and Game that they should adopt an open site policy when it comes to high pressure hunting areas. First, this will maintain a better population for our animals. Second, this will discourage out-of-state hunters from wanting to choose Idaho as their trophy state. And finally, some may argue that it will be impossible to fill a tag, but evidence has shown that that is not true. Open site hunting will help us regulate and bring back our animal population. This will help us restore and maintain a healthy herd. This is the start of lowering pressure when it comes to hunting season for our deer and elk. These long-range scopes have been a problem because they increase the distance that you're able to shoot an animal. Basically, if you can see one on a hill, you have a really good chance of shooting it. And that higher harvest rate reduces the mature animals that we have in our fields. I believe that an open site policy will help take the pressure off of these animals. This will create a better chase for the hunter. They will have to get closer to the animal, at least within about 150 yards, to get an accurate shot without a scope, and not be able to shoot an animal from canyons away. These lower harvest rates will help benefit our population and let them grow. Heffelfinger and others wrote in The Role of Hunting in North American Wildlife Conservation that the more animals we have that can reproduce, the herd will stabilize at a quicker rate. The reduced pressure from out-of-state hunters will discourage This reduced pressure of discouraging non-resident hunters will also help our herd population. A lot of out-of-state hunters rely on scopes and like to choose an area that allows scopes when they're hunting. I believe that this will discourage non-resident hunters because they will want to choose a state that still allows this. These modern high scope, long range scopes have become severely attracted by many people. They are marketed everywhere and thousands of people have picked up on using them. According to the Idaho Fish and Game and Wildlife Management, they sold over 30,000 out-of-state tags to non-residents in the year of 2025, and that is not including the ones that were sold under outfitters. This is just non-residents that have bought a tag over the counter by themselves because Idaho does not have a draw system. This increased participation from out-of-state hunters has created a competition between the residents and the animal herds. Those that rely heavily on optics will then choose another state or a different area to hunt instead of Idaho, and this will reduce the pressure on our animals. With these benefits, some may still argue that it will be impossible to fill a tag. Although they may be correct in the fact that it will be a little bit more difficult, they will have to put in more time, more energy, more miles, and they will have to get closer to the animal. They will have to practice their skills and shoot a little more often at a target so that they can be confident in knowing what they are shooting at without a scope and a laser directly on the animal. This requires more patience as well. But in the sense, they can still be severely successful. Generations before us have shown us that you can harvest an animal every year, put meat in your freezer without the use of scopes. Scopes have not been around long enough to show us that it is the only way that you can kill an animal. Generations before harvested their animals with their talent, their stalking practices, and their amazing field craftsmanship. This promotes traditional hunting in Idaho with patience, tracking, and focusing on your shot. Boone and Crockett says that this helps us keep a fair chase ethic, which is promoted by conservation organizations. Maintaining an emphasis on skill rather than technology would preserve Idaho's traditions and support wildlife management conservation efforts. These advantages outweigh any concerns that may arise with the open site policy. Today I explained to you why I think Idaho Fish and Game should adopt an open site policy when it comes to big game hunting. First, this is the start of helping reserve and bring back our animal population that we once had. Second, this takes off the pressure from the animals from out-of-state hunters, but in the end, it still allows for a successful hunt and to put meat in your freezer. If Idaho hopes to preserve wildlife resources and its hunting heritage, adopting an open site policy would be the start to ensure that generations after us can enjoy the hunts that we have.